Okay, folks, 3.5, solving problems involving quadratic functions. We're looking at word problems in this question to be able to consolidate all of the information that we've learned up until now. In example 1, a computer software company models the profit on its latest video game using the function p at x is equal to negative 2x squared plus 32x minus 110, where x is the number of games in thousands that the company produces, and p at x is the profit in millions of dollars. Determine the maximum profit the company can earn. Well, we need to identify the important information in the word problem. That is, we have the equation and what it's asking for us in the problem. We have x in thousands and p at x in millions of dollars. And finally, we have the maximum. Notice the yellow pieces are the equation and what it's asking. It's asking us for the maximum. These items that are highlighted in pink indicate the variable, and it represents in thousands. So not to forget that later on we need to convert whatever x value we get to thousands. And p at x is the profit. The profit is in millions of dollars. So we're determining the maximum profit the company can earn. What does it mean when you read the word maximum? Hopefully you're thinking, maybe a graph might make more sense. This is a parabola, you know, that opens down. The p is the y-axis, the x is the x-axis, and we have a parabola that opens down. The point at which it hits the parabola hits the bottom is where the profit is zero profit. So the point at where it hits the bottom down here, so right here, and I'll just put a big black dot there, and another big black dot here. So what you're looking at here when you've got the two big black dots is the fact that this is the point at which the profit is zero. So in other words, is saying what are the break-even points? When does it break even? Meaning that there's no profit and no loss of money. And these would be the values. Now, to find the maximum, that would be the point in the middle. That point that's in the middle is our vertex. So how are we going to get to this vertex point right up here, knowing maybe these two values? Well, hopefully you're thinking, that's right, you got to think about this, that it probably has something to do with the middle. And it does. We have to find the middle. Once we find the middle, we can find the vertex. The vertex will tell us how much money is made, so the maximum profit, and how many video games need to be sold to make that profit. So, how are we going to get there? Well, hopefully you're thinking, that's right, zap. We're going to zap to the vertex. Zap, start with Z. Z means that we need to find the zeros, folks. When we find the zeros by factoring, so common factor first, we take out the negative 2 out of each piece. We divide out negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. We get this. And now we're going to factor the inside. What two numbers multiply to give you 55 and add to give you negative 16? That is negative 2 times x minus 11 times x minus 5. So what we've got here is x minus 11 times x minus 5. The x values are going to be 11 and 5. Now, because they're 11 and 5, we need to now look at where that will take us. Well, we found the zeros, so we're zapping to the vertex, found the zeros, and next we're going to use those zeros to find our A, which is axis of symmetry. Add the x's, divide by 2, that gives us x equals 8. And so we found the A, the axis of symmetry, and we're going to take P, zap to the vertex, by plugging in. We're going to plug in 8 for x. Now don't forget, we're finding P at 8. That means that P at 8 is our y, so we circle that because it stays together. Equals negative 2 times 8 squared plus 32 times 8 minus 110. which means that P at 8 is equal to 18. That is, our Y value is 18, so our highest profit is 18. 18 what, folks? That's right, 18 million. So at 5,000 games and 11,000 games, that would be these values down here. Those are the break-even points. We added them and divide by 2 to find out at 8,000 games, the company makes a maximum profit of $18 million. And that's what we write in the therefore. The company can earn a maximum of $18 million. All right, moving on to the next part. Moving on to the next part. Example number 2. Sally is standing on top of a river slope and throws a ball. The height of the ball at a given time is modeled by the function h at t is equal to negative 5t squared minus 10t plus 250, where h at t is the height in meters and t is the time in seconds. When will the ball be 10 meters above the ground? So that's the question. Well, let's draw a little, we need to identify the pieces. So there's the equation. And we identified the units, and we identified the other piece of information need. This time it's not a maximum, but it's 10 meters that we're looking at. So let's draw a little sketch of what's happening here. We have a height, and we have a time, and this ball is being thrown from the edge of a cliff. When will it reach a certain height called 10 meters? And that would be, let's say, below, somewhere about here. The idea is we need to find the value. How do we do that value? Well, we set the height equal to 10 this time. Not 0, but 10. And when 10 equals negative 5t squared plus 10t plus 250. Now, a lot of you are going, okay, well, what do we do now? Well, now we factor. No, not yet, folks. The reason why is to factor, the other side's got to be 0, or the y variable. We don't have a 0 here. What do? We move everything to the side that the t squared is positive to get the 0 on one of the sides. That is, we're moving everything to the left, folks. We move it to the left, and it becomes 5t squared plus 10t minus 240 is equal to 0. How do we do that? Remember, it's 10 over here. We move the plus 250 over. It becomes... So 10 minus 250 becomes minus 240. So 5t squared plus 10t minus 240 is equal to 0. Next step you're going to do is common factor. You common factor the 5 out, you get t squared plus 2t minus 48 is equal to 0. Next step is to factor again. So we common factored, and now we're going to factor using our product sum rule. What two numbers multiply to give you negative 48 and add to give you 2? That is plus 8 and minus 6. So we have 5 times t plus 8 times t minus 6 equals 0. Now, what are our t values? T values are negative 8 and 6. Now, I want you to look at this y. I crossed that out for a second. How come negative 8 was crossed? Well, let's go back and just look at what t represents. Up here, it's told us in the question that t is the time in seconds. Look at our answers. Why is the negative 8 not acceptable? Hopefully you're thinking, oh, that's right. The negative 8 means you can't have negative 8 seconds. So that answer is invalid. And that answer occurred because, again, that ball has... This is a parabola. The parabola doesn't understand that there's no such thing as time there's no negative time. What we do is we have to understand that the problem can't have negative time, so we negate answers such as this, which doesn't make any sense. So we can do our therefore statement. Therefore, the ball will be 10 meters above the ground at 6 seconds. So at the 6-second mark, this time, it will be 10 meters above the ground. All right, folks. Well, that's the end of the lesson. Have a numerical day.